We start with the Alabama offensive line coach. He was on with R.J. Ochoa, blogging the boys, and he was talking about Cowboys first-round pick Tyler Booker.
You know, if you had to draw up what you wanted a football player to be, he encapsulates exactly what it is. You know, unbelievable human being, easy to talk to, big old smile on his face, would give his shirt off his back to you if you needed help. But, man, when we get off the bus and walk in that locker room and he goes to the field to kind of walk around before the game, there's a switch, and it changes right then. And it was interesting for me the first game with him, just kind of seeing what his routine was, because everybody's a little bit different, and you could see it, you know. And I loved it as a coach, and just the mindset, the determination. I mean, he would just talk to himself, you know, like he would say who he is and what he's going to do before he did it, and then proceeded to do it. So it's definitely it's impressive, his preparation, and then how he carries out what he's got to get accomplished.
Probably should have known that week of the draft, Shotty talking about how important it was to find players who love football. I mean, that was an Easter egg right there. That was a tease for what was to come. You know, I just hope he's fantastic, and in college he was.
He was.
You know, the only question, I guess, would be the athleticism, because the enthusiasm, the intangibles, he has every single thing you could hope for. I'm just hoping we get out there and it's a Zach Martin type of reaction. Are they going to do one-on-ones, Brian, with this coaching staff, you think?
You know, I don't know how my gut feeling, and I need to ask this question, but my gut feeling is that with how physical that Schottenheimer, his background with his father, run the football, that kind of demeanor, be a tougher football team, we want to run the ball more. I would say that you probably would get some more of the one-on-one stuff, the 9-on-7 inside run periods and things like that. So I would hope so. It just with McCarthy, we go out there and you evaluate a lot of standing around and then maybe a little bit of team stuff, but not those football drills that we all like to sit there and look at. I think it's a question I need to pose to the staff and see if that's what they're going to do.
Who's the player comp that would maybe stand out in Cowboys memories? Is it Ron Leary?
That's a very interesting comparison. Ron had some athletic ability for that size. Ron could both very powerful. Ron maybe a little bit better on edge, maybe a little bit better second level. But when you look at body type, physicality, able to get movement at the point of attack, very comparable to how that would be.
Ron Leary's a guy who was part of that 2016 offensive line in Dak's rookie year.
Yeah, sure was.
And he was battling injuries, but he got healthy and had an amazing season.
He had the reason why he didn't get drafted was because he had a bad knee. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of teams.
That's right, the degenerative knee.
Yeah, a lot of teams took him off the board because they were worried about his knee. I'll never forget, he's the one player, and I'm talking about with Ron Leary, he's the one guy that Memphis would be getting beat by 40-something points, and he would still be playing hard. When you watched his tape, you were always impressed with, like, my gosh, this guy's not quitting. Everybody else looks like they've kind of packed it up and ready to get on the bus. Not Ron Leary. I mean, Booker's got that kind of finish to him as well. So I would hope that would be something that I think would be a really good comparison if, in fact, that's the case.
I remember when we heard that Tony was going to retire, and somebody that I trusted said one of the reasons was he does not believe that this team is going to be the same. Like, this was the peak because you had Doug Free at right tackle and Ron Leary at guard, and while you still had Martin and Frederick and Tyron Smith, things were going to be different. And he was right. I mean, that was still the best pocket, the best running lanes that Dak Prescott has ever quarterbacked inside of. Okay, elsewhere in the CNOTE here, Cowboys news of the evening. Awful announcing as a story up. Fox actually wanted fewer Cowboys games in 2025. I think this is why they ended up having so many standalone primetime games, is because Fox was, the quote was, of our 425 games, only 3 of them are Cowboys. In other years, we've gone looking for 5 or 6 Cowboys games. What we wanted this year was more AFC, more Philly. but also more Detroit and a little more Washington to try to capitalize on the Jaden Daniels story. I think we have a better mix of teams than we've had in the past. Sometimes we've had exasperation from fans that the Fox game is always Cowboys at 425. It's still going to be Cowboys sometimes, but you'll see a little bit more variety in terms of top teams in our 425 window. Every man does like a little variety in his life. I don't know how Jerry Jones likes that. Is that a sign maybe that the sponsors or the TV network's starting to look a little different?
I mean, if you didn't land in all these other primetime slots, it might kind of reveal something. But ultimately, all the other networks were like, yeah, this is going to be a gold mine for us. We'll take them. Now, it is interesting. The Netflix Christmas Day game is the noon game that day. They didn't think they were the prime time 325 game or whatever. They thought more like the noon game, which is interesting. But I mean,
but it was also paired with the Commanders, who seem to be new darlings of Fox.
I know. Every network's fighting for them. You got to have an extra Thursday night game because Amazon Prime wants the Cowboys.
Right.
Netflix wants them. Here's Christmas Day. That's another Thursday game. I like that Fox is doing this. I think that is a good model. You might get overexposure of one single team. I think you've seen a little Chiefs fatigue right now. We've been talking about this with this new documentary that's coming out. I don't really care about it. I think it's going to be awesome, but it's like, how much Chiefs do we need right now? Maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when this one's over and they're done playing, cool. But I do think if you have a Cowboys team, especially last year when they were game of the week and they stunk and we're looking at each other like, could you flex this game? They can't flex those. So look ahead. Go ahead and get a little bit of variety. There's other good teams that you can feature that are in the NFC outside of the Cowboys. So, I mean, for Fox, I kind of like what they're doing. I don't think it's an indication at all to the Cowboys brand. The brand is alive and well and better than ever. They're not hurt at all.
I'm interested to see what the ratings do look like comparatively for Fox, in that afternoon slot. Does this end up being pretty much a break-even deal, or are they going to be kicking themselves a little bit, thinking, wow, actually, even when the Cowboys suck, people want to watch them. All of a sudden, Jaden Daniels gets banged up, or Detroit has a setback year. Does anybody give a crap to watch them? Cowboys, I think that's the thing about the Cowboys. Whether they suck or not, people are watching. And some people are hate watching. Plenty of them are hate watching, but you're still getting the eyeballs. I am looking forward to seeing what this does for the Fox afternoon ratings slate.
You're going to get in a situation, too, where, we'll see, honestly, the Cowboys, we've kind of gone back and forth on what kind of season we think they're going to have. San Francisco could be another team that they lose because of, some poor play. So they would fall out of the rotation. But I think these teams I think these networks are like saying, listen, let's give some of these other teams an opportunity, like the Commanders, maybe teams with the young quarterbacks. We'll see what happens with Minnesota.
Yeah.
What if J.J. McCarthy turns into something special? So these teams that have these young quarterbacks, might be getting a little bit more exposure than, say, the Cowboys with Dak Prescott.
I mean, there's so many different ways to take this. I think the fatigue is interesting. Your ability to polarize the audience is gone, is what that tells me. They're not digging in for more, like, let's revel in this Cowboy story. It's, please, can we have another team? I think that's real. You look at the Oxnard attendance. I think, so my takeaway for the Joneses would be, look, you've tried to manage your cap super tightly and say, no, we got to do it this way because we want to be competitive every year. You're still now losing, right? Maybe the brand is strong, but this is not going well.
Do you think that maybe the television networks think that Dallas's numbers, that fans are actually going to turn away?
I think so.
A little bit. That they're looking at it like, really, that maybe after 30 years, Cowboy fans are really, they're going to stick to, or maybe not fans, like, I'm not going to watch them anymore.
I mean, they're not.
And this is the preemptive strike. Like, instead of seeing Cowboy numbers go down, why not just little less games and see, okay, wait a minute, where are the Cowboy games? Maybe let's see if people really want to see them, or are they getting ahead of the curve that Dallas's numbers?
Cowboys make the playoffs. Fox is begging to get them at that 325 time.
No question.
Maybe they don't think they are going to be a playoff team this year.
And if they're not, maybe. And
that's what I'm saying. I wonder if they're trying to preempt it.
It might backfire. The Lions might not be any good this year. They lost two coordinators this year.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting they're willing to take this risk because they don't look at the Cowboys as a guaranteed. Like, we're looking at it's all about the ratings and the dollars.
I think
they're not giving you variety for fun.
The last 2 years, they're falling behind CBS. They need to make a change. and that just happens to be one of the changes. It's not like they're not having the Cowboys on at all. Instead of having it basically every week is what it felt like, it's 6 times?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so
I like that idea.
they're falling behind CBS because they're running a lot of Cowboy games, and the general public isn't as interested. That's what
I wonder if they're trying to get ahead of that.
It's weird to say the general public isn't as interested when you had Cooper Rush starting on Monday Night Football against the Bengals, and they drew the highest rated number Monday Night Football has ever had.
I'm just saying,
I would have thought that would have been a dud.
They might be trying to get ahead of the curve that they think that Cowboy fans really aren't going to watch now.
And overall, the ratings are down a little bit.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just wonder if the networks are saying, like, man, we're starting to hear a lot about Cowboy fans just not being interested in Jared.
The frustration's real.
It's only one network, though. The other ones were like, please, we'll take them then.
Yeah.
Let's put them on prime time as much as possible. So Fox is making that risk, but it's not like they all are at this point.
And it might be better overall a business strategy to let the other networks get more Cowboys and us a little bit less. Maybe the pie overall grows. George Pickens' jersey is in demand. The jersey number still not decided, but you can order the jersey and they'll ship it.
Yeah, I talked to the guys at the equipment office the other day, and they were like, "This is kind of a big deal to them. They're getting a lot of pressure to get this jersey number, and they've got George in town, and they're going to try and work through it right now." I just happened to run into Bucky Buchanan at the Star, and I said, "Hey, what's this guy's jersey number?" He goes, "Man, you're about the 50th person that's asked me this question." He goes, "We're trying our best to get with George and see." So 14's taken. There's some single-digit numbers that maybe Bell might move to, but there's not enough of those. They're not going to use the number 8 because of Aikman. There's a lot of things kind of going on here. It's not like Bell will move numbers, but he wants to go to a single-digit number, and there's not one for him.
Man, Pickens was number 1 at Georgia. I mean, Jalen Tolbert needs to step up and say, "I don't deserve this number."
And what number does CeeDee Lamb want? What number is CeeDee Lamb really? Is he number 2?
Number 2,
at OU.
I was thinking.
So now I think Wanye Thomas took number 2.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's already switched and taken that. But it's interesting, the report today out of Pittsburgh is they're looking to try and trade for Chris Olave from the Saints. So they traded away George Pickens, but they still want themselves another wide receiver.